We are fully back in new Ninjago content season, baby! We have just received our first look at Dragon's Rising Season 2 Part 2 from LEGO's YouTube channel. Much like our first look at Season 1 Part 2, this is in the form of a short teaser uploaded onto LEGO's channel. Unlike the last one though, which only clocked in at 15 seconds, this one is clocking in at 30 seconds, so there is quite a bit more to cover this time. And when I talk about how there's a lot to cover in this teaser, I really mean it. This thing is absolutely jam-packed with cool stuff that I'm really excited to get into today. So, without further ado, let's roll the teaser. This teaser starts us out with another one of Lloyd's prophetic visions, where we have yet another shot of Beatrix attacking Lloyd, our first proper look at the Source Dragon of Motion, who can I just say is looking absolutely damn incredible. Like, I absolutely love this design. It's super majestic and also really imposing, and I love the glowing Source Dragon symbol on the top of her head. Just really great stuff here. The next thing we see is a shot of Lloyd reacting to this vision, where he seems a bit affected by and uncomfortable with the whole thing, and I think this is really great. I love that Lloyd is still affected by his visions in Part 2, despite the fact that he did find a coping method in Part 1. The whole visions plotline Lloyd has is an allegory for mental health, and usually mental health problems are not one-time obstacles to overcome. It's a constant struggle that needs to be maintained over time. So it's really great to see that Ninjago is reflecting this. Part 1 saw Lloyd reacting to his new mental health situation and finding coping mechanisms to help deal with it, and Part 2 seems to be about Lloyd applying these lessons and coping mechanisms to his life, and dealing with all of the difficulties that come with that. Lloyd's struggle with his visions in Season 2 Part 1 is one of the most human and relatable stories in all of Ninjago for me, and I'm optimistic for and really hope that Part 2 is able to continue that faithfully. Next up, we have this beautiful shot of Robbie revealing the tournament Temple City, which I would analyze in depth, but we have already had this image for a while now. So if you want to see an analysis of this shot, watch this video here. Next up, we have a shot of this old dude ringing a bell. There's not really much to say about it other than I like how it's animated. Now here's an interesting one. This is a still of Kai and Bonzel encountering the rest of the Forbidden Five in Neverspace. Notably, one of these guys doesn't seem like they're fully there. This dude in the corner looks like a ghost to me or something like that, and I think I have a pretty good idea of why. So, at the end of Season 2 Part 1, Jordana starts freaking out after a weird bit of magic energy enters her. Interestingly though, right before this incident happens, you can see another of the Forbidden Five try to exit the gateway. When you compare which of the Forbidden Five is glowing in the Part 2 trailer to which of the Forbidden Five exits this portal, it's the same guy. The identically shaped hat, the incredibly similar cloak. I think these two are the same person, and that this is not Jordana anymore. This is whoever this guy is. We actually don't know his name yet. This shot also teases Kai and Bonzel interacting with the rest of the five, and I'm really interested to see how that goes. My initial thought is that it would be some kind of horror type thing where Kai and Bonzel would have to avoid them for fear of like getting killed or something, but can you even die in Neverspace? Can you feel pain there at all, outside of obviously like emotional and mental pain for being trapped for thousands and thousands of years? What I'm wondering is if Kai and the Forbidden Five are even going to fight until they get out of Neverspace. I wonder if they're just going to be like, well, we can't even hurt each other anyway, let's just mind our own business for now till we get out. I'm really interested in how the rules of Neverspace work, and I hope this Kai storyline gives us more insight into that. Our next shot here gives us a really good look at all of the ninja in their tournament outfits, except for Lloyd, who is rocking the Master Lloyd minifigure outfit. It's a real canon design that wasn't just limited to the sets. I'm really happy about that, and he looks great with the rest of the tournament ninja. Anyways, they all seem to be looking upon some kind of interior with like a really excited look. So I'm assuming that they're looking at some kind of dinner hall, or maybe they're like quarters or something like that. All I know is they're looking at something cool as hell that's gotten them excited as hell. And that I'm excited as hell because they've got the Master Lloyd minifigure. As for the next shot here, we have Ryu, Arin, and Sora looking at the Matriarch Dragon. Specifically Ryu's matriarch. She seems like she's seen better days, with notably her crown from when we last saw her missing. Interestingly, we seem to be in the realm of madness here, which is not where I was expecting the matriarch to go after she migrated in Season 1. However, I do feel like I can make a pretty confident guess here in saying that this shot takes place in Season 2 Episode 11. And I make this guess because back in January, Doc Wyatt, one of Dragon's Rising's lead writers, stated that the 11th episode of the upcoming second season would go more into detail about the Matriarch Dragons. Next, we get a quick little shot of Wildfire rocking her new design, holding up a wall of fire. Not really too much to say here other than it looks really cool. Next up, we have a shot of Sora taking part in an obstacle course. I can only assume doing this obstacle course is one of the games in the tournament. And next, we have a shot of Robbie flying around on a floating platform with a selfie stick hyping people up. I was pretty shocked to see Robbie be a character in the show at all after seeing him in the sets and thinking he was just a generic civilian. But it's interesting to me just how much of a presence he seems to have in this trailer. If I were to run a guess as to what this guy's role is that I would guess he's like the head of the tournament's influencer arm. You know, he's the public-facing hype man who gets everyone excited for the new rounds and stuff. And also, I imagine he plays the role of being a commentator for these fights. Last time I speculated about the Tournament of Sources on here, I expressed a bit of concern at it being too similar to the Tournament of Elements, hoping that soon we would see the defining thing that separates it from the previous tournament. And I think that separating factor is the Tournament of Elements was an underground fighting ring. The Tournament of Sources is a public sporting event. Recently, LEGO released some posters to market Season 2 Part 2, which, outside of the Dragons Rising logo on top of the posters, are setting out to be in-universe marketing for the upcoming Tournament of the Sources. Going all the way with the sporting event idea, by having the logos of a bunch of sponsors on the bottom of the posters. By the way, these logos are great. I see something pie related, I see Ryu Air. I don't really have it in me to translate all of the Ninjago on these logos at the minute, but I'm sure they're all great. Next up, we have a quick shot of Arin and Sora in their Season 1 outfits looking afraid at something, to which we immediately cut to Cinder in his tournament outfit using Wildfire's power, the element of heat. This is a really interesting shot, but more on this later in the video. Next up, we see Sora on the new Ninja Combo vehicle, being pursued by a really tiny dragon. If I were to run a guess, this thing is one of those Shintaran Ridgebacks we saw in Master of the Mountain, with the ability to grow or get smaller at will. As for this scene, I really don't have a clue what's going on here. Maybe some kind of race as a part of the tournament? Ninja Ball Run 2, perhaps? After this, we get a really nicely animated scene of Master Lloyd fighting a mysterious stranger. First of all, this guy tried to get a nut shot in on Lloyd here, which is incredibly uncalled for. But what's interesting to me is the clothes this mysterious stranger is wearing, which seem to be the exact same outfit as the temple guards we're about to see in the next shot. Just a darker version of it, which leads me to think one of two things. Either A, this is an evil rogue guard, or B, this is the leader of the guards, and their outfit is different to signify that. Maybe Lloyd's doing something he shouldn't be here, who knows. Whatever the case, this guy went for a cheap shot, and it's uncalled for, man. Next up, we have a shot of Jiro and Zamp fighting off temple guards as the ninja try to climb up the mountain behind them. Notably, Sora seems to have made some more of those elemental grappling hooks from the first part of the season, which is cool because those were really cool. Next up, we get a quick shot of Geo cheering. I'm really glad Geo seems to be tagging along as an audience member because I love Geo, he's really cool. And now we have reached later in the video. Here's a shot of Cinder and Wildfire fighting, and I'm gonna make the unfortunate assumption that Wildfire will lose this fight again. And the reason I think this is because I think whoever wins this fight will receive the other's elemental power. Hence, the shot of Cinder using heat. We've seen power stealing vaguely like this before, but nothing where it comes directly out of the hand. So I assume this is going to be some kind of new lore thing they introduced to justify this. And whatever's causing the elemental masters to be able to steal other powers is probably going to be gone by the end of the season. That's just my speculation though, I could be completely off base here, and I probably am. Next up, we have another scene of Sora on the obstacle course.
I mean, when are we gonna have to run over some weird obstacle course in real life?
Oh, it happens way more than you'd think.
Next up, we have a shot of Heatwave lifting Lloyd way up into the air. I assume this is being done to drop Lloyd into a zone that he needs to go to or something like that. Still, really cool visual, whatever's going on here. And the final shot of this teaser we have to cover is this absolutely breathtaking look at the true size of the Source Dragon of Motion. We only get to see half of her body here, the other half of it is covered up by the clouds below. But here we can see just how massive this dragon is. Just her head alone makes the Monastery of Spinjitzu look absolutely tiny in comparison. I am so excited to see what the deal with this shot is. And that's the end of the Dragons Rising Season 2 Part 2 teaser. Overall, a really great official first look into this new batch of episodes, alongside a release window for these episodes. These episodes will be hitting Netflix in October of this year. I have issues with this date. I think the gap between Part 1 and Part 2 of Season 2 is way too long. But at the very least, Episode 10 was a nice mid-season finale to end on to keep us occupied. You know, it's not like Crystallized where they just end on a random episode with no through line whatsoever. So I do wish the gap was shorter, but it is what it is, man. My main concern is I just hope the episodes don't leak in that time. I would prefer if yet another batch of Ninjago episodes doesn't get spoiled for everyone before its release. But this is LEGO we're dealing with. I'm probably being too hopeful there. As always, a massive thank you to my channel members for supporting the channel, and a massive thank you to everyone for watching this video all the way through. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Goodbye for now.